film going to be all about? It's a mystery to me. Cheers.
On Boxing Day in 1967, Magical Mystery Tour was broadcast in the UK on BBC One, which at the time only broadcast in black and white for technical reasons. The film was mostly panned by critics and audiences. The music press was actually pretty positive about the film, but the national newspapers were brutal in their reviews. In fact, the reviews were so unfavorable that networks in the States declined to show the film there. And it wasn't until 1974 that the film was seen in commercial theaters. A couple of weeks after the film was shown on television, Disc magazine journalist Penny Valentine spoke to several stars from that era and asked them to share their verdict on the film. Penny Valentine wrote,
"It was good, but it wasn't a masterpiece. The critics, just like children offered a sweet shop and at the last minute only given a packet of fruit gums, came down like a pack of howling wolves in their disappointment. And the Beatles suffered from a barrage of criticism."
Pete Townsend said, "It was a great film. The only reason all these people didn't understand it was it wasn't the usual jolly Boxing Day stuff they expected. I think the only mistake the Beatles made was forgetting that on Boxing Day, everyone is boozed up and quite incapable of understanding and appreciating anything. Never mind something as advanced as this." Procol Harum's leader Gary Brooker commented, "I liked it, but I viewed it differently from most people because I saw it as the sort of thing I might try and make. I think it could have done with more money spent on it to make it a little exciting and less amateurish looking. I didn't think it was a tremendous success. But then, I didn't really expect anything fantastic anyway. Frankly, I think their biggest problem was that a 50-minute film of this kind takes a lot of experience which they obviously haven't had yet."
Mama, you see what I see, on your knees and pray for me.
Scott Walker watched the show for half an hour and switched off. Walker said, "Frankly, I got bored. I had the impression that the film was an attempt to pull off the sort of thing Italian director Federico Fellini does. But it just didn't come off." The Hollies guitarist Tony Hicks said, "I was very disappointed. I'm fed up with seeing people run across fields in slow motion. That's all I've seen for the last 6 months on television pop films. Ringo was great, but I found the whole thing a bit old hat." Paul McCartney's brother Mike McGear commented, "It was a bit amateurish. But then, good heavens, it was the first thing they've ever done by themselves. Most of it was typical press waiting to pounce on something. They think that only acting is genuine and worth talking about. A series of incidents like this with people behaving freely is what they label false. But to my mind, it is acting that is false. And it's only this kind of thing that's valid. I don't give a damn what people think. I enjoyed it. The press set the Beatles too high. They never have been a pretentious group. They do their job, which is entertaining young people. I bet young people enjoyed watching it." Spencer Davis, leader of the Spencer Davis Group, said, "It was what it was supposed to be. People should think back on Coach tours and they'd see how true this was. It was an experiment, and I think it came off. The only criticism is with the authorities who cut some of the most poignant parts out." Alan Price said, "I liked it because it was fresh, and it was great to think that they'd done it all by themselves. I think people were upset because they can only associate the Beatles with Jolly Hard Day's Night stuff, or with Records and the Maharishi. What they did with the songs was good, except Fool on the Hill, which I thought could have been more imaginatively done. And it might have lost a bit by not being in color. But in my eyes, the Beatles can do no wrong. You can't put them in any category. You don't class what they do as good, bad, or indifferent. It is just the Beatles." Dave D., leader of Dave D. Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch, commented, "The Beatles are the greatest pop group in the world. But when the greatest pop group in the world make a mistake, it's a bloody big one. And this was a mistake." The Herd, led by a 17-year-old Peter Frampton, also watched the film. The band's bassist Gary Taylor commented, "Everyone was sitting around me and kept muttering words like rubbish. I kept thinking it was okay and I was sure that eventually, something would happen. But it didn't. I thought it was a bad film whether it was the Beatles or anyone else.
I will scatter rice paper stars in your heaven.
Simon Dupree and the Big Sound scored a major hit at the time with the song Kites. Their leader Simon Dupree commented, "It was insanely bad. It had no entertainment value at all. If it was entertaining and I hadn't understood it, I would say so. But it wasn't. The Beatles are good at what they know, but they needed a director to keep them in check. It's laughable that they should be allowed loose on their own like this."